Hello, hello, hello. Thank you so much. Wait a minute. Oh yeah. Hello, hello, hello. Wait, what did I always say? Oh, welcome to Royal Sussex. Welcome one and all. Thank you so much for being here, and love you guys. I'll see you tomorrow. I forgot what to say. I totally forgot what to say. Um, yeah, I think that's what I always say. Now, there's one thing I want to try to do today. Um, Let me see if I can do this without making a disaster. I want to get rid of that watermark. Let me see. Yeah, I didn't know that you could turn that off and you didn't have to have it going the whole time. Um, no, I thought I had to do that while I was on. Oh, well, never mind. I'll leave it. But next time I intend to get rid of that thing, the watermark. I mean, you know where you are. You don't need it on the whole time. But there's some way you can make it stop. It's just like it's on there a limited time. Oh, well, I totally forgot. Never mind. Now is not a time to experiment, right? So, anyway, Megan's investment gets bigger. At least I think it does. More cancer backlash. Well, you know what that's about. And of course, Troop in the Colors news. Still a little bit more about that, a little bit more controversy. Um, fancy, thank you so much for being here. Thanks for watching Royal Sussex. And I hear Dorothy Ross is under the weather. I hope she feels better soon. So, you guys, please make sure you send your prayers out for Dorothy Ross. She has been an incredible supporter, not only to Royal Sussex, but at least one other platform that I know of. So, yeah, do keep her in your prayers. Let's see. Well, I'll just say hi to everybody as we go along. And also, I don't think we'll be here more than an hour. Also, you know what? I was listening. I think I keep the microphone way too close to my mouth. So I'm going to pull it back a little bit. I mean, good Lord, I was sounding like Robert Jobson. Ah, I was like, what in the world? So I'm pulling it away about maybe 8-10 inches. Let me know how that sounds. But yeah, I'm going to try to do that because I literally have it up against the side of my lip. And if it's not a Newport, that's probably not a good idea. All right. Uh, okay, let's get on with it, shall we? So, our fair lady, Princess of Wales' selfless display was the tonic that Britain needed. When lesser mortals would have stayed at home, Catherine proved that the show goes on, with all that superior breeding and all those airs and graces that she displays. Of course, she did. Um, it's so out of touch from the way most of the people in the world lives, I'm afraid. And it just really becomes incredibly offensive. It does no favor for um, the Duchess. What is she now? The Princess of Wales with that horrible cursed sapphire and diamond ring. It does her no favors. And it only alienates huge swathes of the population, right? And even worse, some very seriously ill people. It may prove triggering to someone who is dealing with cancer right now. Oh, hey, BS Speaks Royal. Thank you so much for joining us. So, Has Jeff Bezos embraced Rupert Murdoch's model of leveraging sleaze for power? The Washington Post is now run by a master of squalid tabloid journalism. Well, let's hope that's not the case. So I'm not going to get too deep into this. I think what I'm going to do is I'll try to make one of my short videos that we all can, pick up a thing or two. But as you know, he hired that editor. What's his name? Lewis, something Lewis. Um, and well, there's a standard of journalism. Okay, listen, you guys that are not from the US, it is unusual for newspapers to pay for leads, to pay for inside scoops. It's almost unheard of. But in places, in areas where it does happen, it usually is because we have an editor and or writers. There's a heavy influence of people from Fleet Street, in other words, from the United Kingdom, from Britain. That is when that's when the quality seems to decline. And being the Anglophile that I have been my entire life, and of course, an Anglophile is someone who loves British culture, who loves all things British. That's an Anglophile. Everything that's English and hoity-toity and all that kind of stuff is just interesting, fun, motivating, inspiring. You just want to go there and be a part of it, like you're in a movie or something like that. I felt like I was in a film or a documentary when I went to the United Kingdom for the first time. The cars are on the wrong side of the street and all that kind of stuff. It was a lovely experience, and hearing people with those very thick accents and everything, I loved it. So what I'm trying to say is that um, I kind of thought that things were more civilized, right? I thought things were more civilized, more civil, only to find out that there are certain parts of the experience there that doesn't seem too different from at home. And then there's some parts that are better, of course, which is what I assumed. And then there are certain things that are god awful. I'm just like, ugh, and the tabloid journalism is one of those things. That really was a letdown. I expected better. But I don't know why, because I certainly knew that the Star and the Inquirer were filled with a bunch of expats. So I don't know why I expected anything different, but there you go. I don't know. I just did. I just did. Usually in American movies, it's interesting because usually people with the English accent have more credibility or they play the villain. Isn't that interesting? They seem more credible or they play the villain. So, um, Rupert Murdoch is not British. And of course, he is a villain. So, I wasn't expecting that. It seems like people I've ever met from Australia seemed very kind. But then there's Rupert Murdoch. Never judge a book by its cover. I guess that's the point. Anyway, there is a link at the top of the chat, and that is for VS Speaks Royal. And that is a Sussex friendly space filled with trash time and other important information. So don't forget to like, subscribe, and also to share it. And I should tell you that from time to time, VS Speaks Royal has been kind enough to be a moderator over here on Royal Sussex. So greatly appreciate it. Next. Now, billionaire secret Zagnaz, or whatever that says. Will Lewis thirst for power. Uh, oh yeah, his name is William Lewis. Will Lewis thirst for power, and something else it says there. Uh, as you can see, I am just like a well of information, right? Oops, I didn't mean to do that. But yeah, but anyway, wait for the short video. We have discussed him already. And the thing is, people have been wondering, has Jeff Bezos gone over to the dark side? Is he depending on this Will Lewis brand of journalism to not only take his Washington Post newspaper from the red and put it back into the black? Or is there something else going on? Like, for instance, maybe he did not vet his new hire as well as he should have, right? And the thing is, I guess what I was in a very sloppy way trying to say is that for some reason, as I said, when there is that English accent, we tend to think of people as being more credible. We just do. That's just one of those things about the US. There is a lot of power behind that very erudite sounding accent. And we tend to expect great things, especially in academia and banking and all that kind of stuff. And who hasn't heard of Lloyd's of London? That kind of stuff is the things that we always think about when it comes to the UK. So surely someone as intelligent as Jeff Bezos would know the difference between this flim flammer and a real journalist. So honestly, I kind of I didn't think that American journalism was necessarily bad. The only parts of it that ever seemed to be really bad is when it has something to do with Rupert Murdoch or is something to do with hiring these British tabloid media reporters. That's when things tend to go south. And that disappoints me. It really does. Murdoch, I expect. But the Fleet Street, I mean, you look at how old some of these newspapers are, and you're just like, surely they're just, this. No, because it's a different experience. A lot of people in journalism in the US, they are first generation to work in that field. Not all, but most. And they're idealistic, usually very liberal, and they want to be objective and they want to be impartial. That is the way they used to train journalists here. Seriously. But that Fox News effect and also that Fleet Street effect has really tainted the water. Now, we've had issues with yellow journalism in the past. As a matter of fact, that term was actually coined with the US newspapers. But for a long time, we had put all that behind us. And we were had some really seriously powerful journalism. I mean, they brought down presidents, they brought down corporations, they made companies clean up their ecological disasters. So it's a very proud history. And I mean to tell you, the civil rights movement would not have progressed as much as it was able to progress. There was the sacrifice of the civil rights leaders, the people that marched, people that sat on the back front of the bus, all of that. But then there were also some very liberal, hardworking, brave journalists that would get the story out there no matter what. They were young, they were idealistic. Let us not lose that to the likes of Will Lewis or Rupert Murdoch. It's a proud heritage. I'm proud of it. Yeah, so some are born into worlds where men wear 1100 calfskin and suede Zagna sneakers. Others have scrap that is, hustle and charm their way into them. There was nothing given about the ascent of Will Lewis, who wears his, what the heck is a Zagnas, in navy blue with white leather straps. Is that a suit, a watch, a belt, or what? To the top of the Washington Post. Lewis, 55, is not a product of the playing fields of Eton or any of England's grand institutions. He was sent to Whitefield, a post war public school built on the site of, what is that, disused waterworks. It was next to a vast shopping mall and pulsating 10-lane highway that cut through London's northern suburbs. Other British men running American newsrooms, CNN, Mark Thompson's, another expat, Bloomberg's John Mickle, whatever it is, Micklethwaite, uh, were privately educated in August surrounding before up to Oxford. Lewis's parents could have sent him to a private school. His father ran a packaging business. Ooh, that sounds illegal. But they were opposed to them. Lewis' much older brother had gone from Whitefield to Oxford. Lewis didn't get in. He went to Bristol, a mid tier university. No path was laid out for him. He had to find one. I don't care how he got there. The problem is he's here. You know, during the Second World War, there was an old saying about the Yanks when they went over to Britain. They say the thing I hate about Americans, they're overpaid, they're oversexed, and they're over here. Well, there's three things I hate about these tabloid journalists. They're dishonest, they lack integrity, and they're over here. So those are the three things I like about them. I mean, that I dislike about them. V. Bram, Joseph Stalin said, "The one who controls the press controls the money." Thank you very much, V. Bram. Those are very wise words. Thank you very much for sharing them with us. I believe that. Okay, so the Washington Post leader tied to past use of stolen data. Yes, and on the 52nd anniversary of the Watergate break in, the Washington Post has canceled a splashy dinner it was planning to host at La Combra. Or is that Lacomba? Lacomba de Or. Lots of talk about this on the Crosette. This was supposed to be Will Lewis' reintroduction to the ad community as CEO of the Post. Now, the reason why this is so tragic is because the Washington Post is the one that broke the story about the Watergate. In other words, this is a newspaper that brought down a United States president, Richard Milhouse Nixon. And so on the 52nd anniversary of the Watergate break in, where all of this started, a security guard who happened to notice that there was a door ajar, and I forget the specifics of the story, but anyway, that ruined his life, by the way. He was African American. You can understand why. It was almost as though people were blaming him for exposing everything that led to Richard Nixon resigning from the presidency. That's like the only time that that has ever happened in the history of the United States. We've had almost 50 presidents, and that's the only one that ever stepped down. So, um, a proud history, a proud history, the Washington Post. And by hiring this thug, as one of the other journalists put it, by hiring this thug, this strong man, it could do nothing but soil the reputation of a newspaper that has some of the best lineage that you could think of. I mean, some very powerful people have come and gone from the Washington Post. Why put this person who has been accused of alleged criminal behavior in the driver's seat? It's a big mistake. And Jeff Bezos, he may have reasons that I don't understand. And I respect Jeff Bezos for the amazing things that he's done with his company, with his life, with a lot of things. Amazon is so much bigger than you could possibly conceive of. They do a lot of things that have nothing to do with retail. So already a very powerful person. And if this newspaper is to bring him more leverage, I don't know why that's even necessary. There's other ways to peddle power, if you know what I mean, to influence things. So that's what political action committees are for and such. Lobbyists. He has more than enough ways to influence how things go. But anyway, it's disappointing. But I don't want to dwell on this topic. Let me keep moving. So, Meghan Markle and Prince Harry looked very much in love, says her Suits co star, Wendell Pierce. Well, Wendell Pierce played Rachel Zane's dad, who also worked in the legal field. And, let me see here. Did I what? Anyway, thank you so much for the PayPal. In her Kate mask. Let me see. If you look closely at the area just below the cheekbones, you will see the rose features. Woo! Now that is quite a theory. Well, thank you so much for that, and thank you so much for the PayPal. Woo! Thank you so much. Okay, let me play this sound bite. Okay, well, I promise you, I will take a closer look. I will. I mean, they are capable of doing some extraordinary things, and there are people who are of the opinion that that was not Kitty. So here we
Came
go.
into town. She got an award last year, and had a chance to say hello and wish she and Prince Harry well, and wish the children well. And so they look very much in love, and we're very happy. So that's the most important thing. I've gotten to see her just a few times since, and so been able to reminisce, and so it's real. We have fond memories of working together. We finished the show almost 8 years ago, and so to have this resurgence is pretty amazing. And so now there's going to be a new generation of folks to take it over, and I'm sure that some of us will make some cameos. But it's really great to have a resurgence.
Okay, so that was Wendell Pierce.
Town, she got an award.
That was Wendell Pierce. You may recognize his voice. Still looks good too. I mean, it hasn't been that long ago, but he still looks very good. All right. So there's an article in the People magazine where he talks about Meghan. So if you have the opportunity, do check out the People magazine, or you can go online and check out peoplemagazine.com. But Okay, moving on. Moving on. I don't think we'll be on here more than an hour. So, Clevr Blend, check it out. Clevr Blend is at Whole Food. I repeat, Clevr Blend is at Whole Foods. Yeah, it's so exciting. I got to say it like Oprah Winfrey. What else would I do? Clevr Blend. Uh, we could not be more excited to make this official. We're in Whole Foods, baby. This is a dream come true. Our friends on the West Coast can find us in a Whole Foods near them now. Head to our store locator at the link in our bio to see where you can find us near you. Okay, so there you go. I would say that that is an indication that Clevr Blends is expanding. And if Clevr Blends is expanding, I am only going to take that to mean that Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, her investment should pay off even better than ever. So let's hope that that's what it means. They're in Target, over 500 stores, and now they are in Whole Foods, baby. See there? We're in Whole Foods, baby. And Anna Boyd, thank you so much for the super chat. And thank you so much for watching Royal Sussex. All right. There, you see, from coffee bar to Target. Yes, they have gone from having like a little hut, like a little trailer thing. They were serving their oat milk coffee out of a hut when Meghan had the opportunity to try their Clevr Blend, and she was so excited about it that she became an investor. So there you go. And now they are in Whole Foods, baby. How exciting, right? So there you go. Clevr Blend is at Target and now Whole Foods. So you can go to their website and use their store locator to find it. So I wonder if that means that eventually that they'll be in the Whole Foods in the United Kingdom. I hope so. This is what I have been referring to. From time to time, you will hear me reference Kate sitting on the bench looking like one of those Renaissance paintings of Jesus. Some people got offended by that, like I was comparing her to Jesus. I'm certainly not. But, you know, the composition of her very touching video, it had a halo, like, see the halo? She has the halo effect over her hair, the big wavy curls. The whole thing seemed rather spiritual, ethereal, if you might. And of course, it's just a look. It doesn't necessarily reflect on the subject of the photo. But anyway, just in case you weren't picking up what I was putting down, when I say Renaissance Kate, this is what I'm speaking of. I took certain cues from that scene and ran with it. I haven't studied art history, but I do know a little bit about art history. And I've learned to read certain images and see where they're trying to attach certain images to the classics like a Renaissance painting. So anyway, moving on. The people that were offended by Allison, what's her name? Allison, whatever. The people that were offended by her, Allison, what was that chick's name? Allison something. Is it Parson? Pearson, Allison Pearson. Well, there were people that were offended, and then there were also people who have themselves gone through cancer treatment and or cancer patients that were quite offended. I'm going to share a few. As the bone cancer pain became so intense from the immune boosting drugs that were a what is that companion to chemo, every 1/8 of an inch turned in the bed felt like shattering my own ribs, and my husband had to carry me to the bathroom. But nice to know this pain was due to me being a lesser mortal. Oh my God, that is heartbreaking. Um, Allison Pearson really stepped in it. I mean, she really stepped in it. They have got to stop doing this. Really, they have got to stop doing this. This need to appease the royal family, to puff them up, to make them feel bigger than they already are, to make them seem as though they're immortal or that they're some type of superhero or that they have certain qualities that have endeared them to the public, or that they even worse, this assumption that they were ordained, that they were born for those roles. They were born into it, but they weren't born for it. And even with all of the training, all of the schooling, all of the nurturing and the tutoring that they've been through, all of the counsel, and still they make epic mistakes. And the only reason why their mistakes don't measure up like most human beings is because they have an army of tabloid reporters that are doing everything around the clock to make things all right. But it doesn't really speak to someone suffering from bone cancer, now does it? Which, if you recall, the Queen allegedly suffered from bone cancer. She was in a great deal of pain, could barely walk. And toward the end, they decided to give her some things to help her cope with the pain. And whatever it was they gave her made moments like I don't mean to laugh, but it made moments like this possible. You could only imagine what potion was used to give comfort to the sovereign. As a matter of fact, it's a potion that was so strong, I think it could probably take out a whole busload of people. But she needed it because she was in a lot of pain, bless her heart. And so when you read something like Allison Pearson's words, like this person right here, I am a lesser mortal working through terminal cancer every day like millions of cancer patients. And it's really hurtful to see people have to do this to make a point, but they need to make that point because the Royal Rota, they are so careless. They are so careless with the words that they use that they don't consider the people that are going to be injured by their words. And that is a problem. And it's there's an easy remedy. There's an easy remedy. Just stop. Do better next time. That's the remedy. Because it is very hurtful to people like these ladies right here. My response to Allison Pearson. And then over here, hey there, Allison Pearson. Lesser mortal here. This is me during radiation and chemotherapy. Still smiling. In spite of being unable to eat or speak, no, carriage for me, though. You see there? And it is like these are the heroes. These people, these ordinary people that are able to smile and even make light of the situation they're in. While Allison Pearson is trying to take one of the most mediocre human beings that has ever drawn a breath and making her seem like she's some type of high achiever. She's just a mom who just happens to have married into that institution, but otherwise a very ordinary person. Nothing extraordinary about her. Not a high achiever, not anybody special. She's in a very particular special circumstance, Kate Middleton, but as a person, there's nothing special about her. But for the fact that she married into that family, we probably wouldn't know her name. And that's the truth. So to me, these are the real heroes. These are the people that are the real heroes, not Kate Middleton. Okay, going to move on to Christopher Bosey. Will the British media also try to blame this on the Sussex squad? Well, we've had a little sample of that yesterday. Connie Balmer! Hey, Connie Balmer. Thank you so much for being here. Yes, Rosie, it did backfire massively. Yeah, and it's just not limited to being nasty. It's also what happens when you try to take some very boring, ordinary people that are not exceptional in any way whatsoever, and you try to make them seem like they're Mahatma Gandhi or something like that. This is nobody's hero. This is just someone who's in a circumstance not even by the privilege of her birth, but through the tenacity of her mother, the cleverness of her mother, the social climber. That's why she's there. She's not there because of what she knows. Kate is there because they expected she wouldn't talk, that she wouldn't do anything that would be identified as very Diana like. That's why she's there. And if that is the best that you have to offer the world, that's very sad. That is very sad. But that is a life that she accepted not as a child, not as a teenager, but she was what, 30 years old when she married into that family? 31 years old? So definitely old enough to realize what she was getting into. And eventually, she just became one of them. She has become part of the machine, and whoever gets hurt, oh well. But now she's part of it. And this need to make her seem relevant once again has hurt people. And of course, I can't blame her for what was written. However, they do feed a lot of these storylines to the tabloids, and almost word for word, they print what they're told. They will embellish it a bit, but they will print whatever they're told. So she may not have written it, but she's definitely playing her part of it. If you're not seen for 6 months and you wait until you present the most ideal version of yourself, and then you watch these newspapers fawning all over you like you're a superhuman, you're part of it. You're playing your role within that construct. Clearly, you're part of it. And I think it's awful. I think it's awful. It creates an expectation, just like dressing up and walking out of the hospital with a newborn baby. you're creating an expectation that not only most women cannot live up to, but they shouldn't. If she was so bright and so much for women and girls and families like they would lead us to believe, she would have put a stop to that after the first child. But because she's part of that institution and she's playing along with their storyline, she has not only emerged from the Lindo wing dressed up like she's going to the opera once, she's done it 3 times. That's not what happens to real women. That's not real women's stories. And again, the reason why she's there is because they expect her to meet that expectation. It's really sad, but her brand of motherhood, womanhood can be very detrimental to the average working class woman. It can be very detrimental. And if she's that right as they want us to believe, then she'll put a stop to it. She'll make sure that her own daughter doesn't have to parade out the window, Lindo wing as she did. These are very serious things. These are very serious things because the way people identify themselves as a man or as a woman, they are creating these expectations based on what the royal family is doing. But it is not rooted in the reality of most people. It has no place in reality. It really needs to stop. It just does. Okay, Rohini, I do have something to share about that and about that mysterious thing we were looking at. So stick around. I'm going to get to it, and you'll be surprised. You'll be surprised. I'll just say that. You'll be surprised. Okay, so while the British media tried to blame this on the Sussexes, I'm sorry, Will, um, anti-royal protesters boo the Princess of Wales. Well, Republic, you guys, Republic has been very professional in their approach to protesting the unelected head of state. They have been very, very respectful. They have worked with the Met Police, even though the Met Police double crossed them last time. They have been willing to work with the Met Police to make sure that what they're doing is very safe for everyone involved. So I had to give them credit for that. Now, UK media now pretends the Windsor Farm shop video never happened. Kate Middleton has been seen for the first time this year as she attends Troop in the Color. And if you don't understand what he's saying there, when the farm video came out, they said Kate was seen for the first time, right? Now they're saying that Troop in the Color is the first time she was seen. You get me? So now they're pretending like the farm video, farmer's market, never happened. Like over here on the right, social media has been in a frenzy in recent weeks, particularly after that picture was found to have been manipulated. Well, anyway, so on the left side is the new version of things seen for the first time. And on the right side is the old version of seen for the first time. Let me see. Angelina Stanley says, if Kate had any morals, she would denounce the article, but KP is involved. They thought this would be a dig at Meghan and clever PR. Absolutely, Angelina. It is a dig against Meghan. And you know, there was some people on the um, on the Spaces earlier on Twitter. They were on Spaces, and they were making a comparison between the women's basketball players and Kate being um, the weapon that they have created to take down Meghan. In other words, they want the white basketball player to put the black basketball player in her place. They want the white princess to put the black princess in her place, to make sure that these women of color know their place, to make them stay in their place. The idea that these women of color may excel and even exceed everyone else that has come before them is out of the question. They don't want it. And so years ago, just like with the boxing, what was it? Was it Jack Johnson? And who was the Great White Hope? The one that they were hoping was going to beat the black man into submission to show that there is a superiority to the white race. Same as Jesse Owens going to Germany in 1936 to compete in the Olympics. They wanted to make sure that the the pure blood, blonde haired, blue eyed German athlete proved their genetic superiority against Jesse Owens, that African American that came over here. And when it doesn't go their way, they get incredibly upset. They think that there was cheating, or they will, use racial tropes or something like that to try to explain things. But whatever the case may be, it's such a common scenario. It happens so many times where one is supposed to put the other in their place. And willingly or unwillingly, Kate has become the sword that they have selected to put Meghan down, to put her in her place. The only way to stop these things is to come together and to show that there's no animosity. And that just wasn't going to happen. KP didn't want it to happen. They didn't want any type of visible image of the two of them getting along. Because once again, Meghan was likely to excel in her role as a duchess and show them exactly how easy it is. And as Harry said when they went on the Oceania tour, Harry said that on the one hand, he was excited that people could see how incredible my wife is. But on the other hand, he knew that there would be trouble because she made it look too easy. And therein lies the problem. Mediocre Middleton, you really have to dumb yourself down to make her look good. You really do. You have to uh, almost go back to a very primal state of existence to make her seem relevant and smart. And where that leaves off, don't worry, because the tabloid media will fill in the rest of the spaces. They always do. Anyway, thank you so much, Angelina, for your comment and super chat. Thank you for being here. And Ruth C., thank you so much for the super sticker. And thank you for watching Royal Sussex. And let's see. Islander Jen says, duplicate isn't even on Meghan's level, let alone competition. Here, here. Thank you so much for your comment. And thank you for being a member of Royal Sussex. Yeah, it's really sad. It's really sad. Kate was not a good choice for the role. I'm sure she's just fine as a wife and as a mother. I'm sure she's a great mom. But for the demands of this position, they they didn't really think it through. They were not thinking it through. They thought, no more Diana. We need somebody who knows their place and will stay in it. But as humanity evolves, as the Western world becomes more complex and complicated, there's no room for a Stepford wife. There's just no place for it. You have Mary of Denmark, very well educated. You have Maxima of the Netherlands, very well educated. You have whoever that is in Liechtenstein, the crown prince's wife, very sharp. Okay? And so you have all the, and what about Letizia of Spain? Very bright lady. So you have all these queens that have had real lives before they ever reached those royal families. And then you have Kate, old party pieces, yacht girl Kate. What does she even talk to them about? I mean, you saw how miserable she was with Jill Biden. They had to shut it down. They had to shut down their little conference because somebody asked Kate an unscripted question and she just about crapped her pants. So it's not Meghan's fault. It's not my fault. She's not fit for purpose. And when it shows, they take it out on other people. They target other people because of her shortcomings. They target Meghan not for what Meghan is, but for what Kate is not. So Meghan was supposed to half herself, to be 50% of who she is, so that Kate could seem capable. And even that wouldn't be enough if Meghan was only 10% of herself. But in a modern world, you need a Meghan Markle. Because there's no way for a Kate to speak to the young women. Young women, and I'm talking about high school age, college age, they have never looked to her, ever. There is no demographic there that supports her, that looks to her. It does not exist. You have a handful of girls that go to these, say, royal occasions with their moms or their grandmas. That's it. There's nobody that wants to grow up and be Kate Middleton. Nobody. If that's what it is to be a duchess, they'd rather be a pop star. They'd rather be a content creator. They don't want to be a royal princess. Not if it's got to be like that. I don't want that. Okay. As my father would say, I'd rather be bitten behind by a snagger-toothed bulldog. Calling people who are battling cancer lesser mortals because they lack access to top-tier treatment is vile. Unlike the privileged few, most cancer patients don't get a 6-month hiatus for chemo. They have to soldier through the agony while still working. And that's true. That's true. Most people, they do not get time off for chemotherapy. They don't get time off. They're still as active members of their families as they can ever be. Oh, MR. Wow, thank you so much for the very generous Cash App. And thank you so much for watching Royal Sussex. I don't know if I could say your name or not, but thank you very much. Oh, really? Let me see. Oh my goodness. Oh, so you've been through that too. My goodness. Oh, well, thank you for sharing that. I really do appreciate that. Yeah. I I've had to care for a few people as they were going through it. And I've sat in the waiting room at the chemo therapy. I've actually done that before. And and I was glad to do it. I was glad to do it. I was glad to do it. It's one of those things where you want to have, and there are some people that don't have anybody there for them. There are people that don't have anybody there for them. Just imagine the people that don't have a personal assistant or they don't have family to go through that. Imagine those people. And that's why something like this has taken on a life of its own. And the only reason why it happened was because they were trying to make somebody very ordinary extraordinary. That's where the mistake is. You're trying to make someone very ordinary extraordinary. And for that very ordinary person to go parading around like she's in some movie, that's offensive too. That is offensive. The whole Eliza Doolittle thing, people literally thought that you disappeared because of an act of violence and you emerge mocking the situation. There were people genuinely concerned about her well being, and she emerged still the old Kate. Nothing had changed. And that's why it's so easy for people to believe that she was never sick in the first place. And I can understand that. And I even had to tell someone, they said, no, you don't think they would lie about something like that? They called Meghan a bully. That was a lie. So who's to say they wouldn't go this far? They called Meghan a bully to protect themselves, but they wouldn't tell the truth to protect Harry or Meghan or even their family. They would rather people have hate and hostility against them than to tell the truth. So why wouldn't they lie? I would hope and pray, because of all of the people that I've known, that you all have known, that have been through cancer treatment, that there is no lie here. But everything about this rollout has been bizarre. That is not our imagination. That is the truth. And if there's any skepticism, it is well deserved. Connie Bomber, Thank you so much for the super sticker. And thank you so much for watching Royal Sussex and being ever so supportive. Thank you so much. Oh, I forgot to do that, didn't I? Yeah, it's going to come back and bite everyone because TB, we all know that KP plays a role in these articles as they are written. We know this. And as someone said earlier, we know when you can hear the tone and you know that that is a dig at Meghan, or there may be a dig at Harry. The whole premise, of course, that in spite of everything that Kate has been through, like a trooper, she still shows up to carry out her royal duty. And by the way, her parents' debt has been erased. Have a nice day, right? That's the little part that they leave out. They have omitted that part about the debt being erased, but the other stuff, we're free to talk about that. Of course, I'm not implying anything directly. Cough, cough. Hello, Colleen Beckford. Well, Carlene, like everybody else, I just hate to believe that anybody would do something as, I guess, underhanded as make up something. But until we know better, we have to give a little side eye. We have to function with a little skepticism because they have been prone to making up things. They have been very prone to making up stuff. If they lied and called Meghan a bully, who knows what they're capable of? Okay, let's see. These so called lesser mortals are our spouses, parents, friends, co workers, and neighbors. Most of them face unbearable pain and stress from the cancer and rarely complain. They're not lesser mortals, they're unsung heroes who deserve respect, not insults. T Bone says, it makes me vomit. Who are they considering lesser mortals? I have leukemia. I still have to go to work, care for my mother. I can't afford not to work. The medication I take is $15,000 a month. Insurance is important. And Tony says because of the peasants that support them have made them immortal, who is this gold digger that has no ounce of integrity, no charisma, no intelligence? When she speaks, she mumbles, but yet they want to term people suffering with cancer as lesser mortals. To say it is downright disgusting will be saying would be saying it lightly. Who is Kate? Did she really have cancer? So much lies, not a truth in that diagnosis. Shame on her and them all. Mm. Like I said, this is not helpful to Kate. Over here, Christopher Belsey says apparently Meghan is a witch and she is using her dark magic to poison Kate's soul. No, it doesn't sound exaggerated. It sounds bat crap crazy. Well, I can't say I'm surprised by this, but so what you see here is a translation from Spanish. But this person who, after going through her social media, I didn't see for like 3 years of her. Well, I went through her Twitter. I didn't see in the past 3 years anything negative about Meghan. Now, she may have removed her negative comments about Meghan, or maybe this was the one time that she said something stupid and insensitive. But I can't even find that because it is also gone. Maybe it sounds exaggerated. Now, again, the grammar is weird because it's from Spanish. Maybe it sounds exaggerated, but I have a feeling since Kate's announcement that much of her illness is called dark work done by Meghan Markle, there are feelings that poison the soul to the point of wanting to disappear what we cannot be. Let's pray and send light to Kate. Hmm. Okay. So over here, it says, and I think this is a response to that, as Christopher Bosey's was as well. Transferring her evil soul onto others is her dark work and derangers evil and racism that rebounded onto her, Kate. Sussex Squad, we are charitable. Derangers are haters and liars. 3 years Kate lied on Meghan, so she has 2.5 years to lie more. Mm. And Anne Boleyn, who you're probably familiar with, she says, when I say that they always find a way to blame Meghan Markle for the craziest crap, this is what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. Yes, that really happened. So they always find a way. Now, one of the reasons why you have not seen a royal expert on TV claiming that Meghan has caused this stress to Kate, and nobody has actually blamed Omid Scobie as of yet. I'm surprised by that. But there's a reason for that because the last time they had someone on television claiming that Meghan and Harry caused cancer for someone, I believe it was that lady that went on MSNBC, the one that said Meghan was trailer trash. What was her name? Something Murphy. Anyway, she was the one that went on one of the talk TV or something like that. And she said that Meghan and Harry caused the Queen's cancer. And so a doctor went on the show and said that that was very dangerous, that there's no evidence of the sort, and that lies like that or insinuations like that can be very detrimental, and so on and so forth. And they also got whatever it is from one of the what is it, Qualcomm or whatever. Anyway, it was a mess. And that's probably the only reason why you haven't heard anybody say that, because they got in a lot of trouble the last time someone tried to make that insinuation. So you'll see people doing it in the chats, obviously. But anyone who call themselves journalists or whatever, that's not likely to happen. I won't say it's impossible, because eventually, they take their cues from the derangers. But we all know that the ancestors had enough of it. The ancestors. The ancestors were alerted by the aunties. The ancestors were alerted by the aunties. And the aunties told the ancestors, anyway, the aunties alerted the ancestors, and the ancestors, they went to work, not Meghan. So Woo. But leave it alone. Anyway. So, Baroness Brock, who is a royalist, a monarchist, but she don't like Kate. Well, she did it. She hijacked Trooping of the Colors for herself. That's Kensington Royal loyalty for you. She was all about privacy for 6 months until she found the largest platform she could find for her big comeback. Is this doesn't spell thirsty? Now, again, this is not a squatty. This is a royalist. And I mean, she has very old fashioned notions about the royal family. And she has been a bit confounded and, shall we say, what is the word, exacerbated by the behavior of Kensington Palace. It's starting to get on her nerves. And there's been a few times where she's actually used Harry and Meghan to, kind of put them down in ways. So very interesting the way this has worked out. But yes, Baroness Brooke, if you never heard of her before, oh yes, you're right. TMCD. I think she deserves a bell. You're right. I think she deserves a bell. Now, let's get on a lighter topic for a minute. Take a look there. Brooke Shields breaking all the rules. She's on a red carpet, not really, but she's doing the red carpet thing, wearing yellow Crocs. Yellow Crocs. Well, for someone who's been a fashion model and no stranger to stilettos, I'm glad she's taken her power back. You go, girl. You go. I love it. A pair of adulterers turn up to a fancy dress due at taxpayers' expense. Need well gone. Is that right? Need well gone. Yeah. Anyway, I'm quoting someone. Did that come out right? A pair of adulterers turn up at a fancy dress party due at taxpayers' expense. Need well gone. Need well gone. Okay. But anyway, that happened today. They finally had their, what do they call it? The Order of the Garter. Now, I can't stand to use the word garter in the same sentence or paragraph with Camilla. I just don't. I'd rather see Charles with his old man body, childbearing hips, and bizarrely puffy hands. I'd rather see him wearing a garter than I would ever want to see Camilla in a garter. I just don't like the idea of Camilla and garters. So that is the one thing that bothers me about the Order of the Garter. I could picture just about everybody else in there with a garter belt on. I don't ever, as long as I live, I don't want to dream it. I don't want to come across it. I don't want to see any kind of AI or cartoon. Please don't make me think Camilla and garters. Ugh. The idea of it, the very idea of it. No, thank you. I mean, she could wear a sundress and I'm ready to puke. I certainly don't want to think Camilla and garters. Now, Prince of Plumes, Smiling William shares a chat with Uncle Edward during ancient Order of the Garter procession as royals join King and Queen at Windsor Castle after Kate's trooping of the color boost to the nation. Did she really boost the nation? Let them tell it. It was a boost to the nation. People forgot how much rent costs. They forgot how much it costs to fuel their homes and the automobiles, or how much it costs to ride the train or the bus. All of that was forgotten because Kate boosted the nation's hearts, their souls, their entire lives by showing up wearing Eliza Doolittle couture. That was a boost. Tories turned to Johnson to counter reforms. I think when they put William or anybody in that family next to those big headlines, that's what they really want you to look at, right? They want you to make the association like if you love Willie, vote Tory, right? That's what they're doing. Right? I know that is a visual that I just don't ever want to encounter. Camilla and the Garter. Camilla and the Order of the Garter. Ugh. Yep. The first time that I heard that, I was just like, what the? Oh no, my mind's eye was starting to hurt at the very notion of it. So, but that is what they call it. Okay. I'm looking for a certain picture, don't you? I probably shouldn't. Let me just continue. Yeah, that would be even low for me. But okay, so let me just continue. All right. So I tell you, pop quiz. Would you rather see Tony Blair in a garter or Camilla? How about Andrew Lloyd Webber? How about Andrew Lloyd Webber in a garter or Camilla? I don't know. I'm gonna go with Andrew Lloyd Webber. Yeah, and I also Tony Blair. I don't care how old and how everything is starting to sag and droop. I think I'll take those two any day of the week. Matter of fact, I'll take those two and you can keep Charles and Camilla. How about that? uh, don't they? You know, the whole Order of the Garter, it looks like a freaky puppet show. It looks like some kind of freaky looking puppet show. Everybody was just so old and ugly. And that includes William and Edward. Everybody was just so old and so withered. They were all withered, like raisins on the vine, like plums on the vine, just withered. They were all withered. What is it about being a part of that institution or within the orbit of that institution that ages you rapidly? I mean, look at Tony Blair. He was such a good looking guy when he was younger. Now, if I'm correct, Tony Blair and Barack Obama, they're about the same age, and he can't be older than Bill Clinton, and Bill Clinton still looks good. What happened to Tony Blair? What happened to Tony Blair? I mean, he looks evil and sinister. I don't know what happened to these people, but they look horrendous. Yeah, but Bill Clinton looks good. And who else? Well, I would say even up until a few years ago, Joe Biden wasn't so bad. But these people, ugh. Have you guys seen Richard Gere lately? Amazing. But these people, I don't know. I mean, I hate to be mean, but they look horrible. Remember when we used to like him? I used to think he was very cool. I love Tony Blair, but then he turned into a big a hole like the rest of them, profiting off of his role as prime minister. Um, get a room, get a room, and this is not the first time it's happened. Why is it that whenever um Ford Fiesta, when Sophie, when she gets William's attention and Kate is not around, why does she start acting extra girly like she just took a hormone shot? Huh? Why is she acting like she just had a shot of estrogen? Why does that happen? She started getting all girly and wiggly and cooing and all that kind of stuff. I think it's absolutely vulgar. No wonder her son didn't want to come to the Troop in the Colors. I understand now. She started acting all girly and feminine and kind of sultry and everything. And if you ask me, it looks like she's stuck between a couple of rainbows, but I'm not going to go there. But I think she's wasting her time because it looks like to me that she's kind of uh, it's like a rainbow cookie, isn't it? It's like a rainbow cookie. How would you like to taste the rainbow? Oh, well, you're wasting your time, sister. You're wasting your time. Unless you got a pulled pork sandwich in your purse, I'd give up. Is that what it is? A permanent dukedom? Hmm. Okay. You know what? If she's willing to do what needs to be done, I hope it works out for her. I do. If you're willing to sacrifice your dignity to make a permanent dukedom, I hope you get everything you want out of it. Yep, I hope she gets everything she wants. Oh, thank you, Marshar. Well, I tell you, I see you all have got your claws out today. I love it. You all are being very messy, and I'm loving it. And of course, there they are. Now, is this some type of optical illusion or what? I wanted you all to see this. Not that was necessarily trying to show those two adulterers, but where is the rest of Charles? Do you see that? I told you these people are some kind of monsters or aliens or something. Where's the rest of his body? I see a shoe. I see the bottom of his trousers, but where is the rest of him? Where's those childbearing hips? Where's the rest of him? Isn't that weird? Where's the rest of his body? You see there? That's when you know that these people are not real humans. They're some type of reptilian inbred vertebrates or something, but they're certainly not human. Part of his body has disappeared. Olivia Johnson, 9 months membership, outstanding. She knows that William holds the purse strings. Yes, he does. Yep, he is going to go from strength to strength. Camilla's slowly erasing Chuck. I don't know what's going on there, but that looks very weird. Okay, the global coverage of the event can be broken down. Thus, 91% was breathless, whatever it is, about Kate, and 9% was focused on Louis delivering some of his now routine antics. I cringe whenever they say that. Leave that baby alone. However, I think there is a serious story from the day that no one is talking about, which is George. The kid looked miserable, interspaced with uncomfortable, uh, and and a moments a bit what is that, thunderous. Oh, okay. Well, they all looked pretty sad if you ask me. And let's see, Megan's Jammin says Ford Fiesta. Thank you. Are you trying to say she's a Karen Walker? Karen Walker without any money? Thank you so much for that. And thank you for the super chat. Um, so you're saying like Eliza Minnelli, huh? I'm picking up what you're putting down. Speaking of put down, today is the 5th anniversary of Sophia Petrillo being run down, being plowed down by members of the royal family. The widow is knocked over by a police motorcade escorting the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge, but has since been released from hospital. There we go with hospital, and is learning to walk again. Today is 5 years since 83-year-old Irene Mayer broke her leg, both arms, pelvis, and suffered a dangerous head injury when she was hit by William and Kate's police motorcyclists. They were running late for the Order of the Garter service and carried on like nothing happened. Now, that is actually a quote from one of the squatties, but how many old women are going to be plowed down by members of the royal family in their motorcade? I mean, if you're an old woman in Greater London crossing the road, there is an excellent chance that you're going to get run down, that you will be smashed to smithereens by one of those police escorts. It just happens. Could you imagine their walker or their walking frame hemmed up against the wall somewhere, and the tires of the motorcycle just spinning and smoke and everything coming out because they're just determined to run you over? Could you imagine that? Being dragged up the street, your petticoat showing and everything. All you wanted to do was go to the supermarket, but next thing you know, here come William and Kate running late for the Order of the Garter because they had to stop and try to make a video to compete with Harry and Meghan. I'm telling you, it's dangerous out there. Don't she look like Sophia Petrillo? Thank you for being a friend. Travel down the road and back again. They're running late for the Order of the Garter. And if it's Ford Fiesta and she knows that you're walking through, you will see the biggest fractured hip will be for thee, and the license plate attached will say, "Get out of the way, old lady." You know, if this, I tell you what, if what was her name? Irene Mayer, Helen Mayer, whatever her name was. I wonder if she was telling the story of back in Sicily. You think she stopped to tell one of those Sophia Petrillo stories? Picture it. Sicily, 1922. It was the worst of times. It was the worst of times. There was a young peasant girl who had a body that was not dissimilar from that of Brigitte Nielsen, except for hers that kind of bounced when she walked. Anyway, she was going to get some pepperoni for her family. And when she was on her way to gather some pepperoni, she got to the pepperoni field and she found out that all the pepperoni was gone. And then you say, I thought pepperoni was made in a factory. And then that's when I say, yeah, but pepperoni is a land meat. But I digress. So, anyway, while she was looking around and crying because she couldn't find any pepperoni for her family in the pepperoni field at the pepperoni farm, she heard an explosion. And when she heard that explosion, all of a sudden, pepperoni started raining down from the sky, which is where that old saying comes from, is raining cats and pepperoni. Anyway, I just thought I would tell you a Sophia Petrillo story. Um, all right, let me move on. And then, of course, this poor old lady, she didn't survive. This old lady got nailed by Countess Sophie Wessex motorcade. She didn't survive, po thing. But the family say she loved the royal family. I'm glad she loved them. I'd hate to see what would have happened to her if she hated them. They probably would have made her suffer longer. It's very sad. Ford Fiesta. What was she in a hurry for? And of course, this is what happened 5 years ago with Mrs. Mayer. At least Mrs. Mayer survived with a broken pelvis, two broken arms, and something else they said. They had to work on her, all because Will and Kate was running late for the Order of the Garter. And as for Sophie, Sophie's police car hit me and drove off, claims woman. Not only has her motorcade nailed some poor old lady, but she also hit a receptionist. See there? Moment police car driving Sophie Wessex turned to hit receptionist car before driving away to leave her with a repair bill of several £100s. Oh, well, they should just put a bulletin in the paper, or they should have like loudspeakers or something to let you know when the royal family is on the move. But I was wondering if Sophie had just yelled at one of her royal protection officers. See the guy over there on the right side? She's got her finger in his face. She tends to yell at the help. Or maybe she was on a hurry to get her beauty treatment. See there? Duchess Sophie spotted leaving Kate Middleton's hairdressers with new look ahead of coronation. Really? This is the way she looked on the way out? Well, what did she look like on the way in? No wonder she was in a hurry. Sophie? Yeah, that's her. That's her. No wonder she always so angry. Now I understand. Ladies and gentlemen, Sophie of Edinburgh. Now, this is what I wanted to share with you. Oh, wait. This is about the spelling error. Social media users have criticized Princess of Wales' use of William and me instead of William and I. Catherine is actually correct, however, but most Britons aren't aware of this. Now, see, they're about to change the English language and grammar to suit Kate. They're literally going to change things. Since when is it William and me instead of William and I? So 22% think it's William and me. 56% believe it's William and I. Both are correct, says 13%, and 4% don't give a rat's behind what it is. I say it's William and I. Now, take a look here. Have been blown away by all the kind messages. Oh, there it is right there. It really has made a world of difference to William and me and has helped us both through some of the harder times. As opposed to, it really has made a world of difference to William and I and has helped us both through. You see what I mean? I think it should be I, not me, William and me. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. I don't think that's right. Now, this is what I was alluding to earlier, Rohini. I found this old photo of Kate Middleton. This photo, I believe, is from 2023 or 2022. And what do you see there? What do you see there? This is what we were discussing yesterday, right? And I said that I wanted to be very fair about it because I just could not be sure that it wasn't there all along. But I do believe that that scar has been there. I do. It's very difficult to see it most days, but I do believe that that is an old injury that healed quite some time ago. I don't think it's new. And y'all know I can't stand that chick. If I would have thought it was anything else, I would have said so. Now, it's rare that it's actually visible. And a lot of times they do edit the photos, you know, they do a little maintenance or photoshopping. So it's very difficult to see it most days. But I do believe that it's always been there. And we just didn't notice it. But with an injury like that, that would explain the baby brain. Okay, does that satisfy everybody? Now, it was said that she had a very bad injury as a child that was pretty serious and required surgery. And what that says to me is that the future king and queen of the United Kingdom have both suffered horrendous head injuries. Now, make of that whatever you may, but both of them have suffered injury. William had a fractured skull from a golf club. They have never disclosed the nature of Kate's head injury, but apparently she had a very serious surgery as well. So maybe that has nothing to do with their personalities. Maybe they're just mean and cruel because that's just who they are. But very interesting that both of them seem to be cut from the same cloth where that's concerned. Yeah, two peas in the emergency room, in a pod. I mean, yeah, two peas in the pod. Two peas in the neurosurgeon's office. Yes, two peas in the neurosurgeon. Okay, so like I said, I'm going to be fair and just say that I do believe that that is an existing scar that is very difficult to notice most days. And when the light catches it a certain way, it is easier to see it. Well, Mary H., have you heard the expression, a tree short of a hammock? a brick short of a house, um, an oar short of a rowboat. Not that it has to do with anything. I'm just asking if you ever heard that before. How about a warped puck on a hockey game of life? Um, the pilot light has gone out. Splinters in the windmills of your mind. Baby brain will do. I'm sure they're just fine. So, again, it's a very old photo, and I suppose it's been there, and I guess it's a non story. We'll probably never know how it happened. I don't know if it had anything to do with the horrendous injury. You know, things can get very wild when you're putting together those party pieces, so who knows? I wonder if those party pieces ever included a pinata. What do you think? Do you think that they were testing the pinatas at party pieces? I'm just asking for a friend. Maybe they were shipping out some pinatas and decided to try it out for quality. I think that when people do the pinata thing, they should probably wear like a some safety goggles and a helmet. Island of Gin. I didn't think about that. Oh, thank you for that. That's a good theory. So see, there it is. It's very faint, but if you look close enough, you can see it. I'm just trying to be fair. I'm trying to be fair. You know, here at Royal Sussex, we don't hate anybody. We might make fun of them because there's some awful people, but we don't hate anybody. And we don't make up stuff either. Now, this is the what I thought was surgery in the hairline. As a matter of fact, I believe people asked about it before, and they would said that that was the old injury. But there are people that insist that that is hair pieces. So I don't know. Now, and what is it you do? Yeah, there you go. Here's yet another spin on the corn cob hat that the Princess Royale loves to wear. And what is it you do? What is it you do? I tell you, they look like twins separated at birth, don't they? Does every family have a demented old aunt who thinks she's an admiral? Oh my God, I thought that was so funny. Does every family have a demented old aunt who thinks she's an admiral? I wonder about that. You know, everybody got somebody in a family that just ain't wrapped too tight. You know that. And maybe for their family, actually for them, you have to ask which one. Hmm. And of course, um, it kind of harkens back to the days of Napoleon. It's like the Battle of Waterloo all over again. But you know, I really do think Princess Anne, I believe that she has fantasies or delusions of being quite a few people. Some days she's just Princess Anne, Princess Royale. Other days she's Napoleon. And then there are days when she actually believes that she's Fred Sanford. She really believes that she's Fred G. Sanford. As you can see, her living room looks just like the set of Sanford and Son, doesn't it? But son, 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 but son, son, dun, but da 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 da. Lamont, you big dummy. But dun 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 dun. Bum ba bum ba bum ba ba da da ba 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 da da. And I know you guys may not believe this, but do you know that Princess Anne has saved up so much money over the years because of the wealth of her family? She actually went out and purchased the old Sanford and Son truck. And you know what? She looks good. She looks really good. I mean, it out the corner of my eye, you know, at a glance, I thought that was Red Fox. I really thought that was Red Fox. How about this one? Now tell me that don't look like Red Fox. Ba-dun-dun-dun-dun, ba-dun-dun-ba-da-da-da, ba-da-ba-ba-da, ba-da-ba-ba-da-da-da, ba-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun, ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba. You old fish-eyed fool. Hold on, Fred Sanford. Wait a minute now, Fred Sanford. Yeah, so when she's not pretending to be Napoleon, I think she fancies herself Fred Sanford. By the way, you all think that Golden Girls was just a bunch of veteran actresses, right? You know, Betty White, there since the start of television. B. Arthur, from her years on Broadway and variety shows. Or how about Estelle Getty, the retired school teacher who became an actress later in life? Or veteran actress Rue McClanahan. Y'all think y'all knew them, but they were just like the boys in the hood. But in this case, the Golden Girls in the hood, you know, hanging out round the way, getting in trouble, dice games and stuff like that. So you never really know a person. I'm just saying, never judge a book by its cover. Y'all didn't know that the Golden Girls were so hardcore, but they weren't always America's sweethearts. They had some pretty rough lives. Yep. Now, I have another soundbite for you. Ba-da-ba-ba-da. Ba-da-ba-ba-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Ba-da-da-da-da-da-da. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-da-da. Ba-da-da. Ba-ba. Okay, soundbite is coming.
Now, if it's wrong to stage anti-monarchy protests at Trooping Colour this weekend, 0207 862 2222. The event is a highlight of the royal calendar, dates back to the 17th century. Celebrates, we'll get back with the AI image here, aren't we? Celebrates King Charles's official birthday and will take place for the first time since his cancer diagnosis. It's quite a thing. Look at that. It's the definition of the word majestic, isn't it? However, the anti-monarchy group Republic are planning to stage protests. They've accused the Met Police of trying to block them from the parade so they don't ruin the day. Should they say, look, the king has got cancer, we're all rooting for him just as a person, we're not going to protest? Do you think they should say that, Bobby?
So again, I have deep sympathies for the king and the situation he's in. But I want to refer to a quote by an 18th century philosopher, Voltaire. So apparently he said, I disapprove of what you say, but I'll defend to the death your right to say it. And I think freedom of expression and protest is part of that. So whilst obviously, I hope the day goes well, people should be allowed to protest in a peaceful, non-violent manner.
But shouting "not my king" as a guy in his 70s who's got cancer.
Yeah, again, of course, I feel sorry the king is to hear that, but if we stop that, where does it stop? Where again, freedom of expression should allow us to say anything as long as it doesn't cause harm. Like you can't shout fire in the theatre, but saying that, of course, it'll upset the king, but upset shouldn't be a barrier for saying things.
What is he again?
First of all, I doubt very much it'll upset the king. He's a bit tougher than that.
You think he is?
Oh, yes, and he's heard that many times in his life, not my king. I don't think it will upset him. I think it's tasteless. I think it will reflect badly on the Republican movement rather than on the king. I do think you should be able to protest peacefully, but the emphasis here is on peacefully because you've got horses involved, and if they're spooked, you've got a problem.
Well, we know, yeah. So "not my king" is the slogan. These are some of these signs that were up at the coronation, actually. And then obviously there was a big national moment. I don't think anyone said that you can't have a protest, but there was the police action against them where some of them were lifted and then they were basically sort of put in a cell for several hours and then released without charge, which just meant they missed the day.
I think the fear was breach of the peace.
Well, you know, we could all start fearing we might commit breach of the peace.
The police do have a duty to take that into account.
Yeah. I mean, traditionally you wait for the crime to happen before you arrest people, but no, if you want to be in Minority Report.
Exactly, I was thinking that. Feels
Right
very
ahead,
anti-democratic.
yeah, that's fine, yeah. Why don't we all just arrest each other on the basis that we might commit a crime in the future?
So, how stupid does she sound? Well, he's heard that quite a few times. It's not like he's never heard that before. He's heard that quite a few times. How long has he been king? He has not heard that quite a few times. As a matter of fact, I don't think his mama's ever heard it one time. But yet, every time he goes to the toilet, somebody yells, "Not my king." You know what I'm saying? He can't even crack into a soft-boiled egg without somebody yelling, "Not my king." So, but he hasn't heard it that many times because he hasn't been king that long. That was very disingenuous. But anyway, this is from the opening of Parliament, or should I say, my best day since Christmas. I love that image right there. And this is from the Troop in the Color. As you can see, the Republic people were in a prime location. Now, I do agree that they should not use amplifiers so that they can chant louder. With those horses involved, that could cause a safety issue. So, other than that, carry on with your protests. But spooking the horses is not a good thing. I mean, after all, could you imagine if the Queen Consort got spooked and started bolting and running up the street and jumping over cars and jumping over hedges and stuff? Somebody could get hurt. All that bucking and kicking and carrying on. We wouldn't want that to happen. We wouldn't want to have to put her down, would we? Wait a minute. Could we? Anyway. But yeah, so other than that, I believe they should have their God-given right to protest. Peaceful protests. And again, from yesterday, you can see how lackluster the crowds are at Troop in the Color. This is not a big crowd. And of course, when the flyover happens, they are at the very zenith, at the very peak of the day's events. And if they're not people there for this, then they just aren't there. See there? And there's Republic with their very familiar. And also, I want you guys to know Republic, they obviously have moved, because at first they were close to one of those columns that you see near the edge of the curve there. But then, if you've ever been to Trooping the Color, you would know that once the royal family has returned to Buckingham Palace in their carriages, then the crowd is allowed to surge forward closer to the gates. And so it would appear that when the crowd surged forward, that the Republic people moved right along with them. Now, in years past, the crowd would be held in place on either side, and the people coming up the Mall, those are actually the people that watch the Troop in the Colors at the parade ground. They actually walk over to Buckingham Palace, and they are allowed to get closest to the gates. And then after that, the rest of the people are allowed to move forward. And it's very, it's all very well timed and everything. The police actually create a barrier between the surging crowd from the parade ground, and they walk them all the way over to the Victoria Monument. And yeah, so those are usually select people that are closest to the gate. Now, top 10 most complained about programs to Ofcom of all time. Well, number one, of course, was Good Morning Britain, where Piers Morgan set a land speed record for running out of a television studio by a mammal. Number two, what is that? Big Brother? I don't care about those. Big Brother, Britain's Got Talent, Love Island, Julie Hartley Brewer. Who hasn't complained about her? Who else? Get Me Out of Here. I'm a Celebrity. Get Me Out of Here. Dan Wooten, number 8. Jerry Springer, Opera, whatever. And lastly, number 10 is King Charles III coronation. Yes, in 10th place, King Charles coronation is number 10 when it comes to complaints. But the number one worst of them all is Hoghead Piers Morgan. These are the top 10 most complained about programs to Ofcom in our history. To mark the 500th edition of our broadcast bulletin, we've looked back at the total number of complaints, fines, and milestone moments in broadcasting. Good news! Felicia Rashad has joined the cast of Gilded Age Season 3. Yes, Felicia Rashad, Claire Huxtable, is coming to the Gilded Age. Hopefully she'll play a doctor. But yeah, I love that show, and I love Claire, so it should be great. And with that, you guys, guess what? I'm done. Love you guys. Thank you so much. I will see you all tomorrow night. Thank you all so much for your very generous contributions to Royal Sussex. And do pray for Dorothy Ross, because she is going through it right now. And we are here for her, and our prayers will be here for her. And we're sending all of our prayers and positive energy. Also, pray for the Sussexes, because they're working hard in Montecito, where there are no leaks. All right, no long ending. Love you guys. Good night. Oh, thanks, moderators.